Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Banter with Beth on this gorgeous Wednesday morning. I'm really happy to be here. I'm speaking to you today from the ancestral lands of the Chumash people in Ojai, California. Banter with Beth happens every Wednesday at 10 a.m. where I bring on historians, scholars, rabbis, artists, all kinds of people to continue the conversation about Holocaust awareness. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, Gigi, hi. And I see that our esteemed guest is here. I'm going to bring her on. I'm so excited. Let's see here. I go like this. It's always an interesting experience for me to remember how to do Instagram Live every week. Oh, all right. So the guest that I have coming on this morning is the incredible Rabbi Shoshanah Conover of Temple Sholem in Chicago. Oh, and there you are. Good morning to you. Hi. Can
Good
you?
morning.
Good
Yes,
morning. Oh, it's really nice to see you.
it's great to see you.
Thank you so much for tuning in today.
This is so special. You know what an honor it is for me to be with you and how much I love your family.
Thank you. Well, I have to let everyone who's tuning in today know that Temple Sholem is my family's temple, has been my family's temple in Chicago probably since, oh my gosh, I should ask my dad, 30s or 40s. I mean, really long time. It's where I became a bat mitzvah, my sister became a bat mitzvah, my brother became a bar mitzvah, and my sister's kids also had their beautiful passages of life at Temple Sholem. So it's an honor to have you here. And since I haven't lived in Chicago in such a long time, it's so nice to keep the tether going, right?
I just love it. Well, and I have a sense like it looks very sunny where you are, but here it is rainy and cloudy and chilly. So
Oh
it's
my
nice to feel the California warmth through you.
Oh, you're very kind. It is gorgeous here, I have to say. Our days are still nice, really warm, and then at night it gets really chilly. So, people say in California you don't have seasons, and that's not true. We do. We have seasons. It just happens like within a 24-hour cycle.
Totally. Yes, I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. Well, I want everyone to know you are the first female senior rabbi in Temple Sholem's history. There have been 8 senior rabbis, and what an honor that you are the woman that has taken the helm and taken us, carrying on into this century. Brava.
Thank you. And I'll tell you that I just officiated the most meaningful funeral for someone who lived to be 105 and who was in the diamond business in Chicago starting when she was 10.
Oh my
And actually, she had to do so much for the family through the Depression that actually her father ended up naming his diamond business, his jewelry business, for her. So he said, I, O-ring, and daughter. How great is that?
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
today, I had the honor of officiating her funeral. She died at 105, and
Wow.
I officiated with Cantor Katzman, our Cantor Emerita. And then we also had the amazing Rabbi Jessica Lockett, who was her grandniece, who was part of the funeral. And I'll just say that for me, it was such an honor. And I know for Ida, who had passed away, so Ida of blessed memory, I know how meaningful it was for her that there were these 3 women who were officiating her funeral and doing so with such love and dignity.
Well, that's incredible, and may her memory forever be a blessing. When I
Truly,
learned that
amen.
you were officiating this morning and that you were still coming on the program, I was just blown away. I thought, wow, okay, thank you. And then I have like my list of questions and stuff.
Oh, good.
But no, actually, when I learned that you were officiating the funeral of a 105-year-old woman, I said, that is what we're going to talk about, if that's okay, without compromising any of her privacy with her family and things like that.
Oh,
I really feel that, we talk about the Holocaust and we talk about legacy and death. And when we think about the Holocaust, we think of such horrible death and terrible atrocities. at the hands of intellectuals, of human beings who had no regard for humanity on any level. And yet, here is an opportunity for us to look at death in a very, very different way.
Yeah.
So, let's start with why you became a rabbi. And I would like us to kind of, with the focus toward knowing that I'm going to be asking you questions about this phase of life.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I'll tell you, so for me, I was somebody who was interested in literature and in being able to really delve into texts and to see what they would say to us and how that would help us reflect on who we are and then how we wanted to share our own stories out into the world. And so when I was a senior in college, I looked at how there could be possibly different professions where I could do that. And I had come back my junior year of college. I went for a semester to Israel. And when I came back, I had such a love of being able to share Judaism with others and share Jewish texts and share Jewish history. And I'll also say that what I realized for the first time, and I'd love to hear for you when the first time you realized this was that we're in this very special period in the history of the Jewish people, especially as American Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And so that there's this little window where we have positions of power. And then, and in having positions of power, it means that we can advocate for good in ways that can be effective. That we have it that women can have positions, hold positions of leadership within the Jewish people,
Yeah.
and also to be able to say that it has been a tu Kanahora, a relatively safe period for
Mm,
Jews in America, that then adds to all of us, I think, a special responsibility for what are we going to do with this sacred time. When was
yes.
the first time you realized what a special time we are in the history of the Jewish people, and unique, especially with also having the state of Israel in
Mm,
existence?
right, right. I mean, I think in order to answer that question completely, I have to go back to the moment that I learned that our family was different in terms
Yes,
of, when you're born into a Jewish family, you don't think anything of it. You're Jewish. That's it, right? But then when you start to learn more about your family's history, I learned at the age of 6 that my mom was adopted. And I don't remember exactly when she told me that she was a Holocaust survivor. She absolutely did not use those words. No
right,
question about it. But I have these vague memories of being in class at Temple Sholem, third, fourth, fifth grade, and we were learning about the Holocaust at a young age, and knowing that I had a family that was part of that. I don't know
right,
how I knew. I don't remember learning about it, but I,
right.
I knew that I had this as part of our family history. I just didn't know anything about it. And because my mother was so young when she emigrated to America, she didn't have any memories. And I think also at that time, whatever memories she had, she was not going to unpack. And certainly not to such a young child, right?
Right, right.
So my life in the synagogue was active and full. I think I was even, I don't know, I think I might have been the president of the eighth grade whatever youth group or something like
Yeah.
that. And we all went to Israel together in high school. Um, but I had actually really, I don't want to say abdicated, but I had an experience in my life that was directly related to my mother that made me really step away from Judaism for quite a while. My,
Oh,
my mother broke her neck in 1984. Is that right? 1984. And she became a quadriplegic. And at that time, I tried to use the tools that I had from Judaism to deal with the grief and the fear
right.
around it. I'm very happy to say that my mother is a very, very active, very much
I've
alive.
noticed.
I mean, she still is a quadriplegic, but she has taken her disability to levels that are just heroic.
I
Um,
mean, her participation in those B'nai Mitzvah services, just beautiful and
oh,
impactful.
I
So
mean,
yes.
she's incredible, and so I had really kind of stepped away from Judaism for quite a long time. I married somebody who's not Jewish. We have 3 children who all did become bar mitzvah, uh, but out of choice, not because I said you have to do this. But it really, to answer your question about when did I realize there was this special time, it's really hard to kind of pin down when I felt the need to walk back into the conversation.
Right. Right.
And I belong to 2 synagogues because I can't, I love wonderful aspects about both of them. And my very generous, what's the Yiddish word for shiksa for a guy?
Oh, I don't even know.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
there
know.
anyway. So, but my husband is very generous and lets me, still belong to 2 synagogues. Um, but it just, or put it this way, he doesn't judge me for it. But I think that the more I try to explore the relationships between my mom and her siblings, and I wasn't getting any answers from anybody, I kind of was scratching my head like nobody wants to talk about this.
Hmm.
And when I began filming in 2017, Charlottesville hadn't happened yet.
Right.
We went to Voreen. We visited the town of Voreen where mom and her siblings were hidden. We came back, and 3 weeks later, Charlottesville happened, and that was shattering
Yeah.
for all the reasons that it should be shattering. But that's kind of when the light bulb went off for me, and I realized, okay, what is going on, that where we have to take a much more active role in having our voices heard about the climate and the culture of what's happening in this country. And then I think it was 4 months later that Poland started to pass laws saying that you
Right.
could never ever say that Poland was complicit in the Holocaust. And that was just
Hmm.
mind blowing to me, that that was
Right.
becoming law in Poland in
Right.
2017. Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So I'm not sure if I'm actually answering your question in the most positive way, because I always want to celebrate the Jewish people for always rising up and staying together and celebrating who we are as a people.
Yeah.
And yet I'm very sad to say that it's because of these horrible things that are happening around us. The shooting in Pittsburgh, my cousin's first cousin was murdered in that
Hmm.
massacre. So the terrible things that are happening are making me celebrate the beauty even more of who we are
Right.
and why we endure and why we're still here. I would like it for other people, and one of the reasons I'm making the movie is it shouldn't have to take an atrocity or a
Right.
massacre or something terrible for us to recognize how special we are as
Right.
human beings, whether you practice Judaism or not,
Hmm.
any religion, but just human beings as a whole. Can we
Right.
take gratitude every day for the breath we breathe and the steps that we take? And I hope that Would You Hide Me, the feature documentary, will inspire people to take account of the blessings they have in their lives.
Absolutely. Well, and for me, so what happened for me was that, well, I just want to take a moment just to say that it's so beautiful, and
Oh,
thank you for sharing that. And for me, it really was this, oh my gosh, I'm learning these things that unlock parts of my soul that I want to be able to shine out in the world. And that feeling that, oh my gosh, if others would learn about this, if they would be shared with this from a place of utter love and as real tools, like what you were saying that you didn't find, that you were looking for after your mom's accident and that you didn't find, I feel like they're all over, and there's such beautiful ways to underpin us, not only when things are really tough and show us resilience and show us meaning, but also ways to celebrate that are very specific, but also allow us to enjoy the universal values in life. And then
yes.
also to be able to use our great faith in order to advocate for the social good. So for me, when I realized that I could do all of that, then I wanted to go to rabbinical school. I wanted to learn more so that I could share more, and it would fill me up, and then I could fill up others. And that's that for
Mm-hmm.
me. That was what really took me to rabbinical school, and then that's what placed me in wanting to do this in a congregation.
Oh, that's incredible. That's beautiful. Let's talk about some of the tools. Like, can you share
Yeah.
some of your, I don't know, favorite tools that you
I
use
mean,
for
just
this?
right now. So it's interesting because this notion of being able to first go to a cemetery, celebrate somebody's amazing life, no matter how long or how brief a life is,
Yes.
but to be able to have this where we're part of the mitzvah, part of the commandment, that as this last token of real good that we can do to this incredible vessel, the body of the person who used to house the soul of this human being, that we then have a tradition where we all shovel earth on. So we really are part of that again, that vessel of that used to have part of it together. And there's this whole in order to do that. We sit Shiva, we have these 7 nights where people are making sure that the people who have just had the death of a loved one find comfort, and all they have to do is
Mhm.
just
Oh, I'm missing things that you are saying and you're frozen. I don't know if anybody else is everybody you guys put in the chat if you can hear Rabbi Conover. Just give me like a thumbs up if you can hear her, or if you can't hear her, just say, I don't know, go ahead and talk, Rabbi. See if we can hear you again. Oh no. Oh no, no, what's happened? What has happened? Bad connection. So perhaps, Rabbi, if you're able to, without disconnecting us, if you're able
can hear
to go
you.
off your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. I think we're back.
Oh,
I think we're back on. I think we're good.
okay.
Okay. You were talking about Shiva. You were talking about Shiva,
Yes.
which for anyone who's not
So
Jewish, it would be great. I would love for you to explain what Shiva is for people.
sure, sure. So for traditionally, so the Shiva echoes the number Sheva, which is 7. So there are these 7 nights in which people, or 7 days and nights where people will what's called sit Shiva, and that is where they are in a home or another spot where they don't have to do anything but have people come in and share stories and
All right. Let's see if she's going to come back. Let's see. Might be a good idea. I don't, if you can hear me, Rabbi, see if you can go into your settings and go off your Wi-Fi so you'll just be on your data. See if that will help. And if you lose connection, we'll just invite you to come back in. But it might be a good idea to go off Wi-Fi and just go on data if you know how to go into your settings. Isn't she incredible, you guys? She's amazing. Yeah, yeah. It's so beautiful to hear how she speaks about Judaism and how meaningful it is for her soul. Okay, good. She's going out and she's going to come back in. And let's see. I'll invite Rabbi to come back in. There, I've sent another invitation. So hopefully it'll work. We're still here. We'll bring her back on. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. You're more than welcome to. Let's see if she can come back in. Give it a try. I can banter for you. I mean, it is banter with Beth, so I can banter. We have a lot to be grateful for today, I think, and hearing that the rabbi was officiating at the funeral for a 105-year-old woman. That is just breathtaking. That's incredible. I want to learn more about this incredible woman and her story and the relationship she had with her father, who named his jewelry store after her. Let's see if the rabbi's able to come back in. We'll try and inviting her one more time and see if that helps or not. We'll try it again. Yes. How is your mother's faith? Oh, good. There you are. Good.
Yes,
Great.
I guess, sometimes rainy days don't make for the best connection. I so apologize. But it's wonderful to be able to be back with you. And I saw that somebody asked in the chat, and then maybe we can also I'll just go through Shiva just a little bit more. But they asked about how is your mother's faith?
Yes. Are they asking about my mother or your mother?
I have a sense it's your mother, but I can also share about my mother's faith. That would be my pleasure. That's a big part of why I went into the rabbinate. So I would love to share about my mom's faith too. But you first.
Sure. Okay. All right. My mother is not a religious woman. But she's a Jewish woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she is culturally Jewish and at the same time identifies as a German Jew. So she could share more with you about that. If my mom was on Instagram, I would bring her on and interview her on
Oh,
Banter with
that would
Beth.
be amazing.
But she, I think, has had she used to be involved in the sisterhood. Certainly when we kids were growing up and we were all congregants at Temple Sholem. And she and my father purchased a stained glass window that continues to hang in the halls at Temple Sholem. And I think that was very meaningful for her. Um, she, it's a beautiful question. What I appreciate about my mother's approach to religion and Judaism is that for her, she doesn't have to do anything. It's just who she
Mm.
is. It's just her being. And when you look at the actions of how she is engaged in life, her entire life, from being a hidden child of the Holocaust to being a refugee, and then raising a family, sustaining what could have been a very fatal accident, and also sustaining an accident that some people would think has ruined her life, and she does not feel that way at all. She is triumphant. And I feel that, if anything, that has really been her faith. That
Yeah.
has been her connection to whatever source it is that one feels the need to connect to for spirituality. But she would tell you that she is not a spiritual person.
Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you. So for my mom, and I see that definitely the person was asking you, but now I feel like, well, let me.
Please, yes.
So my mom was an extraordinarily spiritual person, and she was also very learned. She had grown up with her grandfather, who moved in. Her maternal grandfather moved in with her family, her nuclear family, when his wife passed away fairly young, and so she grew up going with him to shul every Saturday morning. She had so many stories about them, and also about this house that she grew up in, which was traditional, which is a thing in Chicago. And so it's somewhere between conservative and Orthodox. And so that's how her upbringing was in Chicago. Then she met my dad, who was, when they met, he was Catholic and 12 years older than she was, and had 5 children with his previous wife, whom he married when he was 18 years old.
Mm.
Um, and they had such different backgrounds, and they met each other, and within 4 months they were married. And she felt like, you know what, she had a son from her previous marriage, and she said, what I care about is being able to raise my children Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
and what you want to do as far as what your practices will be your practices.
Mm.
And I think 2 years after that, my dad converted to Judaism because he loved the practices.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that for me, I grew up in this home that was kosher, where my mom made challah every Friday. Um,
Oh,
we would have Shabbat dinner, and then often we'd actually go to services afterward. My
beautiful.
parents were part of a Reform congregation, so that way it would feel like a good home for both of them. And I'll also say that I had Catholic siblings who were at our Shabbat dinner table. Like,
Hmm.
that's just how I grew up, with
Yep.
this very beautiful mixed family. But also, I'll say that my mom, she breathed gratitude with every breath. Like, that was
Mhm.
just her, the way that she was in the world. And in fact, in third grade, when my dad had a business deal that didn't go so well, we really lost most of our money. We moved into this little, uh, like, basically stamp of an apartment.
Mm.
And my mom, we squeezed all of us into this little tiny narrow kitchen, and my mom led us all in the Shehachianu, that prayer of gratitude, saying, "This is our new home, and
Mhm.
we are going to enter it with gratitude no matter what." And so so for me, that's how I grew up. And I'll say that really to this day, my mom passed away. Both my parents passed away about 3 years ago.
Oh my.
Still
Oh.
is my rabbi. Like, when I think of who influenced me most,
Hmm.
who would I want to emulate and learn in this and in love? It's my mom.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Oh,
yeah,
that's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
yeah,
Let's circle back to your congregant who departed after
yes,
105 years. I mean, wow,
yes,
that's just incredible. Can you share some of the feelings that you know, as a rabbi, you officiate many things, from
yes,
brit milahs to weddings to funerals, right? And everything in between. And
right,
but it can't be all that common that you are officiating at the funeral of somebody who lives to 105.
right.
Was there anything different about that experience for you?
I think that for me, it's that the not only the scope of history, but also for her, the way in which she lived her life through that history.
Hmm.
So, for instance, during the Great Depression, she actually had to work in order to help her family, and she had she had two other sisters and a brother, but really it was on her shoulders to really help the family. And her father was in the diamond business and taught it to her, and then that carried her for her whole life.
Amazing.
And she shared a story of, there was a department store, Marx Brothers, in Chicago, and she had played violin when she was 10 years old, and so she would take the diamonds in her violin case and take it throughout the city to be able to deliver the diamonds that people ordered. Well, she went into Marx Brothers one day because somebody had ordered, and she has her violin case, and the people who were working there said, "Don't shoot," because they were so worried because of
Oh my,
the St. Valentine's massacre,
oh
that
my
they
God.
thought that there could be something like that. And she would tell that story. And I'll tell you that she was awarded the Jeweler of the Year, a woman of distinction, through the Jewelers Association. And truly, she wasn't that of the year, as her daughter said. She was that of the century. She really, she she also, she lived through so much and had to be able to provide through so much, so that her husband died when he was 50 years old, suddenly, of a heart attack.
Mm.
And she then had to go back and work. But her father had set her up so well to know the jewelry business so well, that there she was, 20 years, to the day after she had stopped working before, in order to then go back to work, and start that again 6 weeks after her husband passed away.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's quite a legacy to carry forward.
Truly, and she would never call herself a feminist, but of course her professional life paved the way for people like me to be able to have places of leadership within communities, because there she was, someone who, she had once gone on a delivery to Texas, when she was younger, in her first iteration of working, and the people there said, "We won't deal with a woman. We won't." And so they demanded that she call her father, for her father to come down and do the business with them. And her father, by phone, said, "If you don't do business with her, you don't do business with me."
Good.
And so they did business with her. And so,
Awesome.
so she paved the way for others to have leadership positions, because that's what she did, and that's also the avenue that her father opened for her out of necessity, truly.
Why do you think she wouldn't call herself a feminist?
I think that that term came into being after she was already walking that walk. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that for her, she wanted to do this. Also, she was somebody who did not like a lot of fanfare. She was very, very humble and didn't like a lot of people talking about her or for her. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that she wanted to be able to do the work that needed to be done without labeling it as anything.
Sure, sure. It sounds like my mother, she just is what she is.
Yeah,
She doesn't need the label. Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
for sure, for sure. Well, that's incredible. I like to do this program every week, particularly to talk about the Holocaust so that we have awareness about the Holocaust. And I know that Temple Sholem is so engaged in all kinds of social justice activities. And Temple Sholem is so embracing of all kinds of races, sexuality, sexual identities. I mean, there's a wide list of acceptance that Temple Sholem fully embraces.
Yes.
And I wanted to know if you could share with us how are you engaging with your students and with your congregation regarding the Holocaust, and how it is how how politics today have kind of hijacked this notion that it's okay to be dismissive of other people.
Oh, isn't that interesting? And I think there are two things that are happening at the same time. One is that dismissiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is centering things in narrative and storytelling, right? Like I think that those are happening and possibly happening in reaction to one another.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say that for us, I think that it's always looking at the scope of history, but then looking at the personal experiences within the scope of history. So really, the way that we teach it, the way that we teach the Holocaust is really, I'd almost say like one story at a time. The
Mm-hmm.
way that people could grasp the volume and the devastation of it with paper clips and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is how much 6 million really is."
Yes.
But then for each of the six, there's actually a story and a person to remember. And so for us, I think instead of focusing solely on the volume, because that's overwhelming, that we
Yes.
really try to get into the individual stories. And then through that way, the understanding the larger scope of, okay, now take that and multiply it by. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a big way. The other is that in the spring on Yom HaShoah, so on Holocaust Memorial Day, on the eve of it, we're having a concert, and it's going to be taking the music from the camps that came out from the different camps. And
Mm-hmm.
we're actually going to be doing a concert with all that music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're taking only one song from each composer, so that way, and then we're also including some of the poetry from the camps, and in that way then really being able to memorialize that time.
That's incredible. That's
It's
so
incredible.
meaningful. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful. I am so grateful that you joined us today. I know how busy your schedule is, and I really am so indebted to you for taking the time to talk with me, to bring on such um, the beautiful stories that you shared, and even the way that you are talking about your connection to soul. We don't
Mhm.
talk about souls all that often in everyday conversations. And there's something that feels very heightened and unique about the way that you talk about your own soul and the practice that you have with it. I practice a lot of meditation and yoga, and actually, yoga for me is just to get the body out of the way so that meditative practice can happen
Mhm.
without, fidgeting and all that kind of stuff. And I spend a lot of time in nature. I live in the country, and then that's a connection for soul for me. What are some of the ways that as a rabbi, you're there for everybody all the time,
Yeah.
and you have children also, yes.
Yes.
So you're there for your kids all the time. But in terms of what you need to do to feed your soul, what are
Mhm.
some of the things that you give yourself?
Oh, I love that. Well, one is that one of my favorite things is that on Tuesday mornings, we do a Talmud study. And and I know that your dad joins often this Talmud study, but I'll say to be able to connect and to with that text that's really a window into the rabbinic mind of its time, and then has these messages to send us to today. I That is one of the ways that I absolutely nourish my soul. I'll also say that we also do a Jewish meditation on Mondays that just it feeds my soul, even as because we do it with music, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's just it's that also feeds me. I also love the different opportunities to pray. That
Mm-hmm.
for me, that I pray often, and I use it's almost like I use our prayers as a launch to my own being, as far as meditative practice, but also just being, like, like not even thinking, oh, am I meditating? I just love to be in that atmosphere of prayer. And then I also do a lot of physical get out. We do a lot outdoors. We do actually a lot on the West Coast outdoors. So
Oh,
uh,
nice.
kayaking, a lot of paddle boarding, a lot in the water, and snorkeling. And, we really, really love to get outdoors. We also do a lot of hiking and camping. And so that's a place where I connect also.
Oh, that's beautiful. You have to promise to come visit me if you come to California.
Yes, yes.
We have a lot of camping opportunities here and beautiful trails and hikes. And
Mhm.
I live in a very magical place
Uh,
that also has, I think there are 7 vortices here. A lot of people come here for spiritual rebirth.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there are vortices here, just like in Sonoma. And like there's even this one mountain called Meditation Mount. And people go up there and they do drumming circles. I haven't been.
Oh, I love
But,
it.
just this connection that when I moved to California, one of the things that I discovered is how many people do like these full moon ceremonies. I was like, oh, okay, I'll join. That
Yeah,
sounds like a lot of fun.
which is so funny because it's also like a Kabbalistic practice that became a
Yes.
Hasidic practice as well.
Yes. Do you teach any Kabbalah?
So I do. What's interesting is for me, I've loved that learning, and I also feel like so I teach Zohar, and definitely, and I've also done history of Kabbalah,
Uh-huh.
both in a couple of different iterations. But I'll say that for me, I often talk with people about the Kabbalistic conception of God, because I feel like it's so resonant. And I often will, when people, after somebody has died and people have questions and they want to say, what do Jews believe about life after death? And I say, there are many beliefs about what happens after death. And I often find myself teaching a lot from the Zohar about the conceptions of what happens after we die.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, let's close with that, and let's hold your congregant's life in our hearts
Mm,
today. Let's make this for her today and her family. And 105. What a celebratory experience for the end
yeah,
of a life. 105. So,
yeah.
um, I want to thank you, Rabbi, for coming on today. Thank you so very much. We're taking next week off, everybody, because of Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving for those of you who observe Thanksgiving. And then we'll be back a week later on December 1st. But Temple Sholom, I want to share one final thing. In filmmaking, there is something called Easter eggs. And it's when you put little things, it's kind of like if you're on a trip in Europe and in every little picture, I don't know, you put like a Smurf or a pen or something so that it's always in every little picture. So in filmmaking, Easter eggs are little things that the filmmakers put in for themselves. And maybe somebody else might recognize a little something in there that, oh, wait, I know that, I know that. And so it's not necessarily part of the story, but it's a synchronistic thing that happens. Well, we have an Easter egg in the film
Oh,
that is for you. and I'm sure you'll discover it. It's for you, and it's for many other people from Chicago.
Oh, that's so fun. I
But
can't
I'm excited
wait.
to share the film with you when it
Well,
finally comes
I
out.
mean, what an incredible project. And I just want to say that, I know your niece and nephew and your sister and your brother-in-law and your dad and your mom. And I just want to say that the way that you are sharing the story and giving the depth of the history is so important. And I feel like your story is exactly what I talked about, how we teach the Holocaust. It takes one individual experience and then it multiplies it. And then we get to really see the impact. So thank you so much for your work. I really am looking forward to this film, and I so appreciate the way in which you tell your story and your family's story.
Well, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate you. And we're in this together. So, together in the work, Tycho Brahe, it's so meaningful to have someone, to have support from somebody as esteemed and learned as you, Rabbi. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All
Take
right, we'll talk
care.
again. Bye bye.